This is a nice place to meet because I walked a block from my office to be here. But it's also nice for me because I'm looking at the intent of this bill, and the intent of this bill is to improve housing in northern Anne Arundel County and all of Anne Arundel County. And those of you that know our area up here, know the Brooklyn Park area, you know that one of the situations that we face is distressed housing, but it's also people who want to move into a home and improve it and live there and raise their families. So this bill is going to help the neighborhoods in developed areas in this county. It's going to improve property values, and it's going to make this county, and we should all say this line, the best place to live, work, and start a business. So on that party line, I'd like to introduce County Executive Steve Schuh.
Yeah.
Get that in there.
Awesome. Thank you, Fran. And thanks for all you do here in North County to promote new business formation and job creation. We really appreciate your efforts. It's a beautiful day here in Anne Arundel County, and we're here in Odenton Town Center, Glen Burnie Town Center here in beautiful Glen Burnie to enjoy this beautiful weather and to acknowledge the great work by one of our councilmen and an exciting bill. As I think everyone knows, among our core priorities for our administration are reducing taxes and fees to make it easier to live and work in Anne Arundel County, and also to revitalize our older residential communities. The legislation we're going to talk about today brings that all together in one terrific piece of legislative work. It's a great day for the citizens of Anne Arundel County as we celebrate more progress on each and every one of those priorities. And it's also a great day for the residents of Glen Burnie and other older communities that need reinvestment. We wouldn't be here except for the creative genius of Councilman John Grasso, who is tireless, never sleeps, always working on new ideas for the betterment of this county. He understands that encouraging homeowners to reinvest in their properties is the best way to improve property values, to bring up neighborhoods, to push crime out, and to improve the quality of life for everyone in the community. The way this legislation works is very unusual. It grants both a tax cut and a fee cut to individual citizens, but to every taxpayer in the county. And let me explain how that works. When a citizen chooses to renovate or improve his or her property, they no longer have to pay the mandated fees to inspections and permits. Big fee cut. Could be in the order of thousands of dollars for a typical home. This is a $300,000 fee relief package that will spur redevelopment in older communities here in Glen Burnie and Brooklyn Park and other areas of North County. But on top of the fee relief, homeowners will be assessed their property taxes based on the home's original assessed value before the improvement for 5 years. That will save people thousands of dollars on their property taxes, and that money can be redirected into the economy and to make our economy grow. And finally, because of the workings of our tax cap, as that renovated property comes gradually back into the tax rolls at its full value, everyone else in Anne Arundel County will enjoy a cut in property tax rates. So it's a threefer. A fee cut, a property tax cut for the individual, and a property tax rate cut for every citizen of the county, all from this one single piece of legislation. This is a textbook example of county government working to improve the overall quality of life for our communities while saving taxpayers money. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to the mastermind behind this very unusual, exceptional piece of legislation. Councilman John Grasso. Put the Grasso on it, John.
You got it. Thank you, Steve. Well, first of all, I'm not quite the mastermind that Steve wants to paint me at, even though it's well appreciated, okay? One thing that I've learned being in public office is to listen to the constituents of Anne Arundel County and listen to the people that work for Anne Arundel County if you want to fix the problems. And there's been many pieces of legislations that I've listened to from the employees of Anne Arundel County just came to me and said, hey, what about this? Well, this piece of legislation came from a businessman in Anne Arundel County that said, hey, how about why don't you guys do something like this to help development or, to spur up old neighborhoods? And so what I did is I took the idea, what this guy said, and put a few, what I like to call Grosso spin curves onto it, and I came up with a winning piece of legislation. And to the gentleman that'll benefit from it, I'd like to invite him up 1 second, is Danny Danko from Ameristar Homes, and also Curtis Payne from Cedar Squares Homes. Now, these two guys are the ones that actually live the issues in Anne Arundel County and actually try to better our community with rehabilitating old houses and also putting up new developments for our people. So if you always want to fix a problem, or you think there's a problem, always ask the people that are actually involved with it and doing it. And all I did was just talk to a couple of the guys and said, what issues are you having? And they said, well, how about doing something like this? And then we put it together, and I talked to the administration. The administration was very willing because, as you know, our county executive is always pro-tax cut, pro-fee cut, pro-cut everything. And that's generally how Steve runs, and I think that's how the people of Anne Arundel County really feel about things. So with a lot of collaboration with the county executive, and, of course, the council went along with it, this is a win-win for everyone in Anne Arundel County. You could be someone who turns around and inherits a house from maybe your grandparents, and you've already got the land, you've already got the infrastructure there. Maybe you would turn around and you would contact Ameristar Homes or Cedar Square Homes and said, hey, can you build me this house? And a lot of young couples do that. And then, of course, they would get the benefits that our county executive has put forward. This bill is also going to, Steve's also talked about, is going to go into our neighborhoods that need refurbishing. Instead of people turning around and going to the developers and say, let's tear down all the woods and the trees, let's keep building new houses, perhaps we should look closely at our inventory in Anne Arundel County at all the old houses. Why can't we turn around and take those old houses and make them nice again, instead of just having old houses all over the place? I would encourage the people in Baltimore City, their council, to look very closely at this bill, because in the situation in Baltimore City, I'm going to tell a quick story. There was a property over on Pascal Avenue, 3901 Pascal Avenue in Baltimore City, and this property had a $42,000 tax debt. I made a contact several times to the city of Baltimore to ask them to relieve this tax cut and allow me to go in there and rehabilitate this house. Of course, the answer I kept getting was, you want this property, it's going to cost you $42,000. It's pretty simple. Well, after a numerous amount of tries, they just said it's not worth dealing with Baltimore City because most of them can't balance a checkbook there. So next thing you know, there was this young lady who turned around and did the same thing I did, and she persisted to bang on someone's doors in Baltimore City and actually wind up buying this building for a couple $1,000s. So imagine now, it goes from $42,000 to a couple thousand. This was right in the heat of the market when the economy was really booming up. So she turns around and she rehabilitates this house and sells that house for $140,000. Now, I want everybody to keep in mind, for 10 years plus, that house was making zero money. This lady turns around, convinces Baltimore City to let her have it for a couple $1,000s, invests probably $30,000, $40,000 into that house, and winds up selling it for $140,000. Now, what did Baltimore City gain out of this now? Remember now, they were getting nothing for their property tax. Now they're getting $2,000 a year for a property that was paying nothing. In at least 10 years, Baltimore City has made $20,000 off of a house that they didn't want to release because they insisted on getting their $42,000. Finally, someone woke up. So my suggestion to Baltimore City is take the thousands of houses that you have in Baltimore City, give the people the permits for free. That gives them an incentive to turn around and invest in these deplorable, junky houses. And before you know it, these people will start paying property taxes and they'll be back on your rent rolls again. Let Anne Arundel County lead the way in everything that you see good happening in Anne Arundel and Maryland. Thank you.
All right, I believe people are here for the bill signing. So Councilman Grasco and County Executive Schuh, you can come over to the table.
Business people. All right, over here. Come on. Come on, Ellen. Always got to back up. Great job. Awesome. So what happens is you purchase a house at $350,000 or less. You get the property. Then you turn around and you decide to tear the house down and build a brand new house. You get your permits for free, okay? So everything that you would pay in permit-wise. Then what they'll do is they'll take the old assessment of the old house, maybe have been, I'm giving an example, of $2,000 a year, and you wind up putting up a new house, and the assessment might jump up to $3,000 a year. That $1,000 between the 2 and the 3 is what the homeowner is going to get for free for the next 5 years. So Anne Arundel County really didn't lose because it's still getting the $2,000 it was going to get before the house started. Okay, it's just not going to see the increase until after 5 years as a present to the taxpayers for doing this job.
Well, what happens is you get a lot of different houses that may be foreclosed from the banks, and people have just lost them, and then they just sit there for years unattended while the banks go through the processes, where you can go in and buy the homes, tear them down and build new ones and create the revitalization of the neighborhoods throughout the county or even the state if this was to go through state. And it just makes it better for everybody. Instead of just tearing down making a sprawl, you're developing into areas that already have the road, water, sewer, electric, and infrastructure already there in place, which just makes a win-win for the county, the people. It's not a high profit margin for any builder to do these houses $350 and under. It makes them more affordable, but it really just it's another part of our integral business to try to maintain the business throughout the year.
And what it does is lets them get into a house that maybe they couldn't have got into with the price being down and saving the fees and the taxes. They qualify with the tax money for 5 years. They can qualify for more money. So it helps them get into a house that they couldn't normally got into. So you're getting rid of the houses and getting more people in houses.
I've talked to Senator Simon there in the General Assembly, and what we're going to do there is I've asked the senator to define what rehabilitation means, so that once that is defined in the COMAR for Maryland, then we can craft another bill directly behind this so that you don't have to tear that house completely down, that you can still leave the foundation and the 2x4s and everything, but you have to put new siding, new roof, sheetrock, wiring, and plumbing. So we'll accomplish the same thing as long as the foundation is in decent shape and the structure is the same thing. The environmental people really love that because what's going to happen is you stop that whole house from winding up into the landfill. I mean, a 2x4, as long as it's straight, doesn't matter if it's made today or if it was 40 years ago. And if that house is still in good structure shape, it's good. I know one that Curtis did is right down here at B&A Boulevard. And took that house, and I remember what it used to look like, and did everything. Did the sheetrock, the wiring, the plumbing. It looks like a brand new house. And so hopefully the senator gets that together and we pass that legislation, and we'll come behind it with a piece of legislation on the county side to allow people to do that also.